Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Catalan Independence Referendum, 2017. The Catalan Independence Referendum of 2017, also known by the numeronym 10 in Spanish and Catalan media, was an independence referendum held on 1 October 2017 in the Spanish autonomous community of Catalonia, passed by the Parliament of Catalonia and called by the Generalitat de Catalunya, was declared illegal on 7 September 2017 and suspended by the Constitutional Court of Spain after a request from the Spanish government, who declared it a breach of the Spanish Constitution of 1978. Additionally, in early September, the High Court of Justice of Catalonia had issued orders to the police to try to prevent it, including the detention of various persons responsible for its preparation, due to the many irregularities in the administration of the vote, as well as to the use of force by the National Police and Civil Guard. International observers invited by the Generalitat declared that the referendum failed to meet the minimum international standards for elections. The referendum was approved by the Catalan Parliament in a session on 6 September 2017, along with a law which states that independence would be binding with a simple majority, without requiring a minimum turnout. After being suspended, the law was finally declared void on 17 October and is also illegal according to the Catalan Statutes of Autonomy, which require a two-third majority in the Catalan Parliament for any change to Catalonia's status. The referendum question, which voters answered with yes or no, was: do you want Catalonia to become an independent state in the form of a republic? The yes side won with 2,044,038 voting for independence and 177,547 voting against, on a turnout of 43.03%. The Catalan government estimated that up to 770,000 votes were not cast due to polling stations being closed off during the police crackdown, although the universal census system introduced earlier in the day allowed electors to vote in any given polling station. Catalan government officials have argued that the turnout would have been higher were it not for Spanish police suppression of the vote. On the other hand, many voters who did not support Catalan independence did not turn out on the day of the referendum. The inaction of the autonomous police force of Catalonia, the Mossos d'Esquadra, allowed polling stations to open. The National Police Corps and the Guardia Civil intervened and raided polling stations after they opened. 893 civilians and 431 agents of the National Police and the Guardia Civil were reported to have been injured initially. According to various sources, these previously reported figures may have been exaggerated. According to the judge from Barcelona that is currently investigating the accusations of police violence, there were 218 persons injured on that day, 20 of which were agents. The Mossos d'Esquadra are being investigated for disobedience for not having complied with the orders of the High Court of Justice of Catalonia to prevent the referendum. Josep Luis Trapero Alvarez, the Mossos d'Esquadra major, is being investigated for sedition by the Spanish National Court. The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights Zaid Raad urged the Spanish government to probe all acts of violence that took place to prevent the referendum. Background: the ballot was initially scheduled for no later than 17 September 2017, a result of an election pledge made by pro-independence parties ahead of the 2015 Catalan election. The election resulted in a minority government for the Junts pel Sí coalition, which had won a plurality of MPs plus conditional support from the 10 CUP-CC MPs. Shortly after the government was formed, it resolved to hold a referendum on independence. On the 24th of January 2017, the government of Catalonia held a privately organized conference in one of the rooms of the European Parliament in its Brussels headquarters. The event, entitled the Catalan Referendum, was promoted by Carles Puigdemont, President Oriol Junqueras, Vice President, and Raúl Romeva. It was attended by 500 people, among whom were MEPs, diplomats and journalists from the international media organization. The Catalan government's decree officially calling the referendum was expected to be approved in the second half of August, but was approved only on the 6th of September. Shortly after the referendum was announced, attention focused on the issue of the ballot boxes, since the government of Spain is in charge of providing them, whereas for this non-state sanctioned vote the government of Catalonia would have to put them in place, potentially risking prosecution for the misuse of public funds. On the 24th of March, the Spanish Public Prosecutor's Office in Catalonia had already announced an inquiry to determine whether a referendum is in the planning. Tendering by the Catalan government for materials such as ballot papers and envelopes for a putative regional election in the region are thought by some to be an attempt to covertly organize the referendum. In terms of its organization, the electoral roll is one of the main points in contention, since this is managed by the National Institute of Statistics, an autonomous organization placed under the jurisdiction of the government of Spain. To access its data, polls must have been authorized by the Spanish Congress, something which is out of the question in this case. Without an undisputed access to the electoral roll, the results may be deemed unreliable. Similar difficulties could be met when it comes to the Electoral Commission to be formed for monitoring the polling and results. An official announcement by the government of Catalonia suggested that Catalan residents overseas willing to vote would have to register by the end of June 2017. Out of 285,000 Catalans living abroad and eligible to vote, 5,000 had registered. Tensions within the Catalan government. On 3 July 2017, President Puigdemont sacked his Minister for Enterprise, who, in the face of the legal challenges, had just expressed doubts regarding the referendum taking place as envisioned by the Catalan government. Then, on 14 July, Puigdemont proceeded with a cabinet reshuffle, replacing 3 additional ministers in his cabinet in a move widely seen as a removal of the remaining hesitant voices within his cabinet in regards to the referendum issue. On 17 July, the chief of the Catalan police, called Mossos d'Esquadra, resigned without giving any reason. The Catalan police force is seen as key to enforcing any court orders sought by the central government challenging the secession vote. Additional isolated resignations and dismissals have been noted among some of the high-level civil servants, potentially playing a role with the vote's organization. Scope. When the Spanish Constitutional Court suspended the law on the referendum on 7 September 2017, it forbade several Catalan office holders, the Catalan media, as well as the 948 municipalities of Catalonia, to participate in the preparation of the referendum. The municipalities were instructed to reply within 48 hours whether they intended to comply or not. Out of 726 municipalities that answered, 682 announced that they would support the referendum anyway, 41 announced they would refuse to support it, and 3, including the municipality of Barcelona, answered without making their intentions clear. Among those that refused to support the referendum, however, there are large population centers, such as the provincial capitals of Lleida and Tarragona, or the cities of Terrassa and Hospitalet de Llobregat governed by PSC mayors. The mayor of Barcelona, Ada Colau, while refusing to make a statement whether the municipality of Barcelona would provide logistical support to the referendum, and not strongly criticized the language of testosterone and the pressure that she said was being exerted on the municipalities. Nevertheless, she announced that she would do anything possible to allow those in Barcelona who wished to vote to do so. Police operation to stop the referendum. On 20 September 2017, following orders of the Trial Court No. 13, the Spanish Civil Guard started Operation Anubis. During the first day, the police officers raided different headquarters of the government of Catalonia, and arrested 14 people including high-ranking persons, administrative staff, and company CEOs involved in the preparation of the referendum. Simultaneously, several printing companies were searched for ballot papers and ballot boxes. Crowds gathered around the regional ministries to support the arrested staff, and later on several pro-independence organizations including the Catalan National Assembly and Òmnium Cultural. A crowd of approximately 40,000 people surrounded the Catalan Economy Department, preventing the exit of the Civil Guard agents. Demonstrators destroyed several vehicles of the Civil Guard, and some agents stayed trapped all night inside the building while demonstrators shouted, "You won't get out." The damages in the vehicles accounted for €135,632. The Civil Guard agents cornered into the building made 6 calls for help to the autonomous police force of Catalonia, Mossos d'Esquadra, which were ignored. The first request for help was at 9:14 a.m. with a subject, "Urgent request for support," to Mossos. Both Mossos d'Esquadra Major Josep Luis Trapero Alvarez and Barcelona Intendant Teresa Laplana Serra were charged with sedition because of the role played by the regional police. 2 Catalan pro-independence leaders, Jordi Sanchez and Jordi Cuixart, were sent to prison without bail by Spain's National Court. They are being investigated for alleged crimes of sedition for their role in organizing these massive protests aimed at hindering the Civil Guard investigation. On 20 September morning, Jordi Sanchez called for peaceful resistance to the police operation through social media. The investigating judge stated that the leaders did not call for peaceful demonstration but to the protection of Catalan officials through massive citizens' mobilizations, and that Jordi Sanchez on top of a vehicle encouraged the demonstrators with expressions such as, "No one goes home, it will be a long and intense night." During the following days, the Spanish Civil Guard and the Spanish National Police would be reinforced with police officers from the rest of Spain, which are expected to reach 16,000 police and military police officers distributed in different Catalan cities on 1 October 2017, and would continue to carry out searches in companies that allegedly had referendum ballots or ballot boxes. This would spark multiple protest demonstrations all across Catalonia, including Cacerolatzos during the night. Several other cities of Spain also organized demonstrations in defense of the right to decide of the Catalans. On the other hand, demonstrations were held throughout Spain in which thousands of people protested against the referendum, and the agents were acclaimed by the crowds in numerous cities of Spain when they left for Catalonia. Question. The question of the referendum was asked: do you want Catalonia to become an independent state in the form of a republic? International observers. The referendum was attended by several international observers. The first accredited international observers, led by the Hague Center for Strategic Studies, were headed by Dan Everts and consisted of 20 observers from the United States of America, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, France and Poland among others. The second international mission, called the International Electoral Expert Research Team, was headed by Helena Catt and consisted of 17 observers from the United Kingdom, France, Ireland, and New Zealand among others. There was also a delegation of 33 parliamentarians and politicians, called the International Parliamentary Delegation on Catalonia's Referendum on Self-Determination 1. October 2017, from political parties in Slovakia, Belgium, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Iceland, Ireland, Israel, Latvia, Republic of Macedonia, Monaco, Spain, Sweden and United Kingdom. Of these international observers, those summoned by Diplocat and not recognized by the UN as such are not recognizing this Diplocat as an international observer, due to the many irregularities and to the actions taken by the National Police and Civil Guard. The international observers invited by the Generalitat declared that the referendum results could not be considered valid as the process failed to meet the minimum international standards for elections. They also criticized the police violence. International organizations and institutions. On 14 September, the President of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, said that the EU would follow and respect the rulings of the Spanish Constitutional Court and Parliament. Further, while the EU would respect the choice if a yes for Catalan independence were to come to pass, Juncker stated that Catalonia could not become an EU member the day after the vote. On 2 October, the European Commission released a statement on its webpage declaring the referendum illegal. On 1 October 2017 referendum, pollsters generally started using the proposed referendum question after it was revealed in early June 2017. The Centre for Opinion Studies polled respondents on their intentions rather than asking them the actual referendum question. In its March 2017 poll, aside from asking respondents whether they would want Catalonia to become an independent state, it asked their intents in the event of a referendum on the independence of Catalonia being called and organized by the government of Catalonia without agreement from the Spanish government. In a July 2017 poll, a similar question was proposed, with the difference that it asked about the actual 1 October referendum. Overall, the Catalan government estimated that polling stations representing up to 770,000 potential voters, 14.5% of all registered voters, were closed down by police in raids, with any votes cast in those stations either seized, lost or inaccessible, and therefore not counted. Catalan government spokesman Jordi Turull argued that turnout would have been higher were it not for Spanish police suppression. Catalan government officials argued that calculation by experts showed that without police pressure and closures, turnout could have reached up to 55%. This was reported as not considering the fact that as a result of changes implemented by the Catalan government earlier in the day, which saw the introduction of a universal census, any Catalan elector going out to vote could do so in any one of the still functioning polling stations. Notorious examples of this included President Puigdemont himself, who voted in Cornellà del Terri instead of Sant Julià de Ramis, where he was registered to vote, foiling a police operation to track him down along the way, or Parliament of Catalonia Speaker Carme Forcadell. Irregularities. Due in part to the deactivation and repeated blocking by the police of the computer programs used to implement universal census and result reporting, an important number of irregularities were detected during the celebration of the referendum. Among them, people recorded voting more than once, votes made by foreigners not included in the census or even allowing children to vote. Unsealed ballot boxes were transported containing ballots inside, and there were ballot boxes placed in the street, where any person could introduce their votes without any census control. In 71 municipalities, the number of yes votes tallied were more than the number of registered voters for those municipalities according to the census. The Spanish government announced that the rules of the referendum got changed 45 minutes before the opening. The new rules included the universal census, according to which any citizen could vote in any voting center even if it was not the one originally assigned. They also accepted the use of non-official ballots printed at home, and made optional the requirement of using envelopes. Controversy over the results. The publication of the results generated controversy both for the lack of basic electoral warranties as for the lack of coherence between the results that were published after 95% of the votes had been tallied and the official results published 5 days later. One analyst said that the large pro-independence vote could actually be a sign that many people did not vote at all and that the referendum lacked the conditions for fairness. Aftermath. On 3 October 2017, Carles Puigdemont said that his government intends to act on the result of the referendum at the end of this week or the beginning of next, and declare independence from Spain. Puigdemont will go before the Catalan Parliament to address them on Monday, 9 October 2017, pending the agreement of other political parties. On 4 October 2017, Mireia Boya, a lawmaker of the Popular Unity candidacy, announced that a declaration of independence would likely come after the parliamentary session on 9 October. The King of Spain, Felipe VI, called the Catalan referendum illegal and appealed to the Union of Spain, calling the situation extremely serious. According to Swiss National Radio, the Foreign Ministry of Switzerland has offered to mediate between the two sides in the crisis. However, on 16 October 2017, the Foreign Ministry of Switzerland released a press note declaring that no formal offer was made, also stating that the independent aspirations in Catalonia are an internal affair of Spain and should be resolved within its constitutional order. It also made clear that Switzerland fully respects Spanish sovereignty, and that in any case any facilitation of the process could only take place in case that both sides requested it. On 10 October 2017, the president of the Generalitat of Catalonia, Carles Puigdemont, declared the independence but left it suspended. Puigdemont said during his appearance in the Catalan parliament that he assumes, in presenting the results of the referendum, the people's mandate for Catalonia to become an independent state in the form of a republic, but proposed that in the following weeks the parliament suspends the effect of the Declaration of Independence to engage in a dialogue to reach an agreed solution with the Spanish government. Violence and injuries. On the day of the poll, the Mossos d'Esquadra did not execute the direct order issued by the High Court of Justice of Catalonia to close the voting centres before they opened and confiscate voting materials. After this unexpected development, the Spanish police and Guardia Civil mounted operations to execute the order. The security forces met resistance from citizens who obstructed their access to the voting tables in Sant Julià de Ramis, where Puigdemont was expected to vote. They were joined by a corps of firefighters of Catalonia members who formed a human shield separating the police from civilians to help obstruct their access to the polling station. The police used force to try to reach the voting tables, in some cases using batons against firefighters and civilians, and dragged some of them away. The police made multiple charges, In some other incidents, the security forces were surrounded and driven out by the crowds. According to the Ministry of the Interior, rubber bullets were only used against demonstrators in one of those incidents in the Barcelona's example district. There were incidents in polling stations in Barcelona, Girona and elsewhere. The police forced entry to the premises, ejected the occupants and seized ballot boxes, some of them containing votes. The Spanish government endorsed the police actions ordered by the Regional High Court. Carles Puigdemont accused Spanish authorities of unjustified, disproportionate and irresponsible violence and showing a dreadful external image of Spain. While Amnesty International criticized what it called excessive and unnecessary use of force by the National Police and the Civil Guard. According to El País, after the first reports of violence, the government cancelled the order given to the security forces, and they pulled out early from the polling centers. Various images and reports used to magnify the claims of police violence were circulated but were later found to be inaccurate or Photoshop, and reports argued later that such posts, as well as conspiracy theories, had been amplified through the same network of social network profiles that had earlier promoted alt-right and pro-Putin views during earlier elections in Western countries. A Republican left of Catalonia councillor accused the police deliberately breaking her fingers one by one and of sexual abuse during a polling station evacuation. But later investigation disproved these statements. The Spanish Ministry of the Interior instructed the Spanish Attorney General to investigate whether the accusations of police sexual abuse against protesters made by Mayor of Barcelona Ada Colau, who had mentioned the councillor's statements, could be considered a legal offense of slander against Spanish law enforcement organizations. A judge from Barcelona is currently investigating the accusations of police violence made by the Generalitat against the National Police and the Civil Guard. According to the judge, there were 218 persons injured on that day, 20 of which were agents. According to various sources, previously reported figures for civilians and police may have been exaggerated. According to the Generalitat de Catalunya, 844 people requested the services of the Catalan Emergency Health Service. This number includes people with irritation by gas and anxiety attacks. Of those injured, most were minor, but 4 people were hospitalized by the Emergency Health Service. And of those, 2 were in serious condition, one due to impact from a rubber ball in the protests, the other for unrelated causes. According to the Ministry of the Interior, 431 Guardia Civil agents were injured. 39 of them required immediate medical treatment, and the remaining 392 had injuries by bruises, scrapes, kicks and bites. Section final report by the Catalan Health Service states that there were 1,066 people attended by the Catalan hospitals in connection with the Catalan referendum, 966 on 1 October 2017 and 75 during 2-4 October 2017. According to the severity, the reports indicates that 886 were categorized as mild, 173 as moderate and 7 as severe. On 20 October 2017, last injured left the hospital. Regarding the age distribution, 104% of them were elderly people and 23 of them were over 79 years old. Also 2.1% were underage, including 2 children under 11 years old. Only 12 police officers were attended, 9 Policia Nacional, 2 Guardia Civil and 1 Mossos d'Esquadra. Catalan health officer is going to sue the Partido Popular General Coordinator, Mr. Fernando Martínez Mayo, for naming as a great farce the total injured amount. Economic effects. As of August 2017, the spread between Spanish 10-year government debt and German bonds was close to its narrowest in 7 years. However, since the start of July, the yield on the Catalan regional government's bonds had jumped by about 50 basis points, signaling unease among investors in regards to the referendum issue. Stratfor suggested financial market disruption is due to the political upheaval. Predrag senior equity sales trader at CM Capital Markets Bolsa, wrote, "The independence movement seeks to paralyze the region with strikes, disobedience, etc. A nightmare scenario for what until yesterday seemed a strong Spanish economic recovery." Marcus Scommer, chief global economist at PineBridge Investments, suggested that the uncertainty both in and outside of Spain has made it hard to price the scenarios into final markets so far. Further, he commented a strong approval could result in a Euro 0.0255% sell-off. Just as in the aftermath of the German federal election the previous week. I don't think there is an immediate change coming from that referendum. It'll take quite a bit longer to assess where this is going and what this will mean. How the EU will react, how the Spanish government will react. So I don't think you'll see people adjusting their portfolios on Monday. But you could get the classic knee-jerk risk-off reaction. Political effect. Puigdemont had to answer a question before the Monday, the 16th of October 2017, 10 o'clock, to know if he declared independence. The formal request came from the Spanish government led by Rajoy and specifically requested a yes or no answer, clarifying that any answer different than a no would be interpreted as a yes. The anti-capitalist CUP required Puigdemont to answer clearly that he declared independence. Along with the formal request, there was also an offer from the central government negotiated with the Spanish Socialist Workers' Party to evaluate the situation of Catalonia within Spain and to study possible reforms if needed to the Spanish constitution. On the 16th of October 2017, Puigdemont missed the 10 a.m. deadline to clarify whether he had declared independence. He sent a letter addressed to Rajoy and published in Twitter before the deadline, but in it the issue of whether or not there had been a declaration of independence was not addressed. He asked instead for a 2-month period to negotiate with the central government. The details of the response sent by letter to Puigdemont were explained on a press conference by Spain's Deputy Prime Minister Soraya Sáenz de Santamaría a few hours after Puigdemont's letter was published. The refusal from the Catalan government to either confirm or deny independence triggered a second deadline of 10 a.m. on Thursday, the 19th of October for them to backtrack before direct rule was imposed. The Spanish government subsequently offered to abort the suspension of self-rule if the Catalan government called for regional elections, which the latter has so far ruled out. Press coverage and social media. Different sources describe aspects of the events differently according to their political stance. Notable examples include the coverage of Spanish TV channel TVE and Catalan channel TV3. TV3 covered the referendum and the police violence regularly, while TVE mainly emphasized the Spanish government's position on its legality. TVE media coverage was criticized by Televisión Española Information Council, calling for the resignation of the entire direction. TV3 has been criticized both within and outside Catalonia as a mouthpiece for the independence movement. Various media reported on fake images of police violence against civilians that were posted in social networks. They included images of people injured in other events, including footage from strikes and anti-austerity protests for 5 years prior, Turkish police charges and protests by minors. The news sites Oc Diario and Periodista Digital were also accused of falsely trying to discredit some of those involved in police violence episodes. Some non-Spanish media has criticized the Mariano Rajoy's government. Police violence against civilians are Spain's media coverage, including The Guardian. Ripples from Catalan referendum could extend beyond Spain. The Guardian, the 2nd of October 2017. The Independent. Police brutality has made any long-term solution to the Catalan question increasingly difficult. The Independent, the 1st of October 2017. BBC, Catalan referendum. Catalonia has one right to statehood. BBC News, the 2nd of October 2017. Telesur, media coverage of Catalan referendum grotesque. Journalists. Telesur, the 3rd of October 2017. Al Jazeera, Spain's media spin on Catalonia. Al Jazeera, the 10th of October 2017. The Daily Telegraph, European Commission refuses to condemn Spanish police violence in Catalonia as UN demands investigation. The Daily Telegraph, the 2nd of October 2017. And The New York Times, analysis, Spanish police attacks, mistake a part of a plan. The New York Times, the 2nd of October 2017. The Spanish newspaper El País argued in it that the network of fake news producers that Russia has employed to weaken the United States and the European Union is now operating at full speed on Catalonia, involving a network of Russian media outlets and social network bots which, according to the argument, aim to influence local and global discussion of events. Later investigations by Medium DFRL found support for some but not all of the arguments made by Spanish outlets. It is argued that the goal wasn't specifically to support Catalan independence but to foment divisions to gradually undermine Europe's democracy and institutions and at discrediting Spanish legal and political authorities, while Russian authorities have denied that Russian actors had any involvement. Brought to you by WikiVidi.com. Would you like to know more?